Hello, book burners, and welcome to another episode of Books Are Burning. I'm Mark Will, author, songwriter, and publisher in permanent exile, still based on the island of Taiwan for now. And I'm joined once again by G.J. Villa. Welcome back.
Thank you very much.
What are we doing? This is the Rejoyce podcast series. Tell us what that is.
We're revisiting Joyce's Ulysses after first having read it together almost 30 years ago. Is that right?
29 to 30, but who's
Good
counting?
Lord. That's right. So
where does the time go?
Now not so young, but perfect to revisit at this point in the life and going deep into it.
And where are we in the book? Have we passed the halfway point? I should save this catechism-style questioning for the Ithaca episode, but whatever.
We're at Sirens, so we are over half the episodes. Right, just past. We're in the second half now, having gotten through the Wandering Rocks, the interlude, and now we move forward. And there's a couple of back-to-back bar scenes. The first one is Sirens, and the one after is Cyclops, and then we'll see Bloom on the beach later on Nausicaa. So we are moving.
What does he do there?
At Nausicaa?
On the beach.
He connects spiritually with the young woman.
Oh, okay. That's what you call it these days. That's what the boomers or the Zoomers call it. Yeah.
I should say Gertie McDowell believes she connects spiritually, erotically with the stranger, she says. And our everyman hero connects in a slightly different way. So we will be discussing that later.
Yeah. Discussing, not... You didn't say disgusting. Or maybe you did.
That was the episode that really goaded the censors into action, in large part helped to get the book banned. So Nausicaa is a naughty chapter, for sure.
Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves, so let's save
Sirens.
that for another day.
All right.
And get into today's discussion. Let me share the screen, and we're off. Can you see that?
Joyce is a pretty youngish man playing a guitar with his elegant long fingers and his mustache and spectacles.
Yep.
How old would you say he is?
I thought that would be an appropriate picture given the subject of this particular episode. He's probably 40 something. I'd say he's already published Ulysses, but I don't know, maybe not. Maybe he's an older looking 30 something.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, about that. I would say about that, right?
Before Ulysses then?
Before or perhaps during or after. We'll have to look that up. But it's right around that period. He's not yet an older man, right? But yeah. He's past his youth here for sure. I love that picture though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one. All right, I thought this would be interesting to start with. Our friend Tomek sent this. It's from one of the Neapolitan novels by Elena Ferrante, right?
That's right.
You speak highly of this. I think this is volume 2 or 3, so I don't remember this since I've only read volume 1. But one of the girls... Remember, this is chick lit of the highest order. So one of the girls says, the title is Ulysses.
Hold on. Let me say.
Yeah, set it up. Yeah, please.
Leela is for those of you who like the quartet, Leela is the one, the brilliant friend of Elena, the narrator, right, who has just read Ulysses. They're older. They've kind of gone their different paths. Anyway, so she says, yeah, the title is Ulysses.
Is it about the Odyssey?
No, it's about how prosaic life is today.
And so?
That's all. It says that our heads are full of nonsense, that we are flesh, blood, and bone, that one person has the same value as another, that we only want to eat, drink, fuck.
Okay. So that's an interesting characterization of the work that we're spending so much time on. Maybe we're wasting our time. It's all nonsense.
Well, that's the wonderful thing about this brilliant sort of take, so to speak, right, is on one level it's true. That is what the Odyssey is, right? Joyce is highlighting the prosaic in painstaking detail. But
The quotidian,
Obviously
as we've been calling it
the
in our chats.
quotidian,
Yeah.
but obviously Ulysses is more than that, right? But this is so in character for the character of Leela. So any of you listeners out there, if you haven't, and you probably have, but if you haven't, Elena Ferrante's Neapolitan Quartet.
How old would they have been at this time?
Young
20
women,
something?
yeah, probably 20s. I think this is from book 3. Leela's
Okay,
already
book
married,
3.
and Elena's gone off to school, and so they're young women now.
Right. Okay, well, moving on. These are the texts that we're still using. GJ Via uses the double J Random House, and my quotations will be from the Modern Library Edition. So there's a page number discrepancy. I think,
There is
passages in my text are, I don't know, 3 to 4 pages ahead of yours or maybe behind yours. I can't even
one of the
remember
two.
now,
Yeah,
but
we're a few
yeah,
pages off typically, not
yeah,
far, but yeah, different
yeah.
page numbers.
So bear that in mind if you're looking at any of our quotations. If you have a different text, well, you'll need to check on that. So we're still in the middle section. Ooh, I forgot. M could also be for middle, along with all the other things. And M today is for music, of course, but the middle portion of the novel is called the Odyssey section or the Ulysses section, episodes 4 through 15. It is the heart of the book, and we're still in that. In fact, we're on episode 11, known as Sirens. And the subtitle of this episode is Aren't Men Frightful Idiots? I
Yeah,
don't know if you
yeah.
approve of that one, but I
Well,
thought it, was representative of the I don't know, the theme of
yeah.
this particular episode.
The men, and on one level are frightful idiots, right? In the
Mm,
bar, right? They're more, of
mm.
course, some of them, but yeah. There's I like the image of a quick reminder to everyone about the episode in the Odyssey where Odysseus is told one of the things he has to do to get home is go by the rocks where the Sirens live, these women who sing men to their shipwreck, enchanting them with their song, right? Odysseus decides he wants to hear the song, so he stuffs wax into his men's ears and has them tie him to the mast. And as they pass, he hears the songs of the Sirens, and I think they customize basically, I infer, the messages they send to particular men. Odysseus, one of the leaders of the Greek forces, right? The Sirens promise him, come Odysseus, and you will hear all of the truths, everything that happened at the war in Ithaca, right? Excuse me, the war in
Troy.
Troy. So they promise him like a kind of omniscient view of everything he's just been through and so on, right? And he's screaming to be let go, be cut down. But anyway, so the hero he hears the enchanted song of the Sirens, and they try to tempt him in that way. Around the Sirens' rocks, there's I believe, if I remember correctly, carcasses of men's bodies who have swam to them.
Well, you can see that in this painting here, I think, right?
Yeah, you can, right? They
If
put
you,
they quite graphic actually, alongside the
yeah,
alabaster flesh of those. I don't know what era this is. This looks 19th century romantic,
I
maybe.
think so. I can't remember the
Yeah,
artist. I'll have to look that up. But this is from Wikipedia.
there you go.
Pretty interesting painting. I mean, the sirens looks like there are 3 of them.
Hmm.
Quite erotic, but you've, in addition to Eros, you've got Thanatos with all the dead bodies, a bunch of
Right.
bones and skeletons, and then the men are over on the right. If you're looking
Yeah.
at the slideshow, you'll know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, well, check the show notes. Maybe I'll put this a copy of this painting in the show notes because I think it's quite a nice representation. Um, Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, about that myth in a realistic way. Those men were well trained, right? Like, not one of them said, you know what? I should be able to hear this too. I'm going to take the wax out of my ears.
Right. Right.
Apparently, they didn't. They're
They did
well
not.
trained
Yeah.
Ithacans.
Though later they rebel against him, right?
Yeah,
The cattle. But yes, in this case, they just follow the orders.
good thing they didn't this time. Now, this phrase, aren't men frightful idiots? This is one of the barmaids that says it, and she's talking about the male sex, could technically be not in the context of this episode, but maybe men here means humans. Aren't humans frightful idiots, but also humans of the male sex. So I
Yeah.
like that. I like that double meaning.
I definitely think that the male sex is the predominant meaning for me, at
Sure,
least.
sure. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, all right. Sirens, here we are.
So a few pop culture references. I don't know if you ever saw this. I don't think I did. Be Seduced, Sirens, Hugh Grant and Elle Macpherson. Sam Neill plays like an Australian painter that has all these sirens, these temptresses around him, apparently. Have you seen this?
I have not, no.
I've
And
not
I
either.
don't think I will.
Yeah, from the 90s, I think. But I mean,
yeah, it looks like a 90s era poster. Hugh Grant looking stupidly
Hugh Grant
boyish.
playing the naive kind of, similar to the character he played in, what was it called? The Polanski movie, Bitter Moon? Is that it?
Oh, Bitter Moon.
Remember
good
that?
call. That's a good movie.
Yeah, probably much better than this. But
yeah.
Anyway, of course, also, fans of Guitar and Pen will know that my friend Craig and I recently did the deep dive on Roxy Music's Siren. So there's Jerry Hall on the cover there.
Is that Jerry Hall?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Okay,
she was soon after this, she became Brian Ferry's lady friend, right? And then Mick Jagger came to visit one day, and when Ferry went upstairs or to the restroom or whatever, he stole her away. He came back from the toilet, and she was already with Jagger.
Well, quite the siren in that sense, right?
Yeah.
This is a great album cover, though.
Yeah. Well, it's quite a good album too. So I've got one song in particular that I'll put in the playlist, but yeah, really, you should listen to the whole album.
Yeah.
And
sure.
Check this out. On that tour, that Siren tour, 1975, Roxy Music had a couple of background singers called the Sirens.
There you go.
There they are. It looks almost like gold and bronze.
Yeah.
But
right.
Anyway, you can see them in like the video for Love is the Drug.
Okay.
Good stuff. All right. And so there's mention of a mermaid poster for cigarettes. There's I think this is one of those made up ads that Joyce included in Ulysses, kind of like the potted meat. What was the brand name?
Right.
Remember?
Plum trees. Plum trees?
Was that it?
Is that what it was? No. I know what you're talking about. Potted meat, right? That occurs over and
potted
over.
Meat. So he made it up, right? I think mermaid cigarettes are made up too, but apparently there was a brand called Cold Flake, Will's Cold Flake, Gold Flake. It's not Cold Flake, Gold Flake cigarettes. And anyway, it has these mermaids puffing away in a cave, apparently. So anyway,
it's plum trees. Plum trees.
Plum trees potted meat. Yeah.
Plum trees potted meat.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
right.
I think this mermaid cigarette ad that appears in this episode is also not a real brand. Okay, here's an interesting quote. Joyce in 1919. So that's before the publication of the book itself, but I guess after he wrote this particular episode.
He spent 7 years, let's remember, writing this thing.
Yeah. He says, since exploring the resources and artifices of music and employing them in this chapter, meaning Sirens, episode 11, I haven't cared for music anymore. I, the great friend of music, can no longer listen to it. I see through all the tricks and can't enjoy it anymore. That's quite an interesting comment for him to make. Of course, we don't know if he's completely serious, but reminds me of Kafka, who famously hated music, right? Like he couldn't stand to listen to it ever. It drove him insane.
This is an interesting quote, and I think you're absolutely right with Joyce. Public declarations, or even in letters, to what extent is there an element of the trickster?
Mm,
For sure,
yeah,
I have plumbed the depths so thoroughly that now music is no longer
I'm
enjoyable. I mean,
bored with it.
I remember this is the guy who was a brilliant tenor, right, himself, right? So he was a singer. He loved song. His father was a notable singer who's, of course, we're going to talk about his counterpart in this chapter, right? But no, it's
Mm,
it does seem a little like, alas, now that I know how it all works, I can't enjoy it anymore.
yeah.
It's got a touch of the dramatic.
I mean, I've been through phases like that myself,
Mm.
like just I feel a cloying feeling. It's like, nah, too much. I don't want to listen to any more music or a
Yeah.
particular type of music or whatever. So,
Yeah, as with everything with Joyce, I think there's always an element of truth for sure. I mean,
mm,
the amount of the way he's sculpting each of his episodes in a very particular way, it's like a full immersion. That alone is like the work of a novel, right, and more, right. So I can understand that.
yeah, after finishing this chapter, he's probably sick of it, and then he moves on to
Yeah,
something else, and then
exactly.
later, oh yeah, actually, I enjoy music. I'm going to pick up this guitar and play it and take a picture.
Right, right. Yeah,
Actually,
interesting. Great quote.
I found that some of Bloom's musings about music in this episode are probably like related in some way to this sentiment.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
But
yeah, he does. Right.
yeah, but yeah, it's almost like a hatred of or a disgust with music at times. But at the same time, he appreciates the singers. So
Yeah.
we'll get into that. We'll save that. All right. So there's a through line connecting Wandering Rocks and Sirens. We've talked about this many times, how episodes overlap and
Right.
certain themes are foreshadowed in previous chapters, and then they're picked up on later, and they're callbacks to other chapters. So in Wandering Rocks, at the very end, when we're looking at that cavalcade or parade, it says
The vice regal
Vice
cavalcade.
Regal Cavalcade. Above the cross blind of the Ormond Hotel, gold by bronze, Miss Kennedy's head by Miss Deuce's head, watched and admired. And of course, and that's page 252 if you're using the modern library edition, but when we first see that, it's like, who? What? We don't know what the Ormond Hotel is. We don't know who Gold and Bronze are. Miss Kennedy, Miss Deuce, no idea, right? But then they are like the central characters in Sirens. They are, in fact, the Sirens. And I'll let you read how that sentence is transposed.
Yeah, and Sirens, bronze by gold, Miss Deuce's head by Miss Kennedy's head. Over the cross blind of the Ormond bar, heard the vice regal hoofs go by, ringing steel.
Yeah, so I mean, the content is very similar, but the syntax is quite different. Variations on a theme, we might say, and there's a lot of that going on in this episode, as we'll see.
And just
So,
if you
yeah,
go back just briefly, I remember the first time when I read that depiction of gold by bronze and having
mm,
no idea what that was or what it
mm,
referred to. Was it a color, etc.? It really became clear when I got into Sirens that it's the depiction of their hair, right?
yeah,
So
blonde and brunette, basically, or I don't
right,
know,
right, yeah,
dirty blonde maybe for the bronze.
right, right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right. So, by way of a plot summary, I thought we could read the overture if you have your text handy.
oh,
Um, Maybe we just each take a line. It's only like a page and a half, but if you want to
sure, why
know,
not?
yeah, I mean,
Let's do it.
it's musical, right? Like if you can figure out what this is talking about, you really know the entire plot, such as it is, right? The uh quotidian, what was the word Leela used? Prosaic
Prosaic.
plot. So here we go. Bronze by gold heard the hoof irons steely rining impertinent.
Chips, picking chips off rocky thumbnail. Chips.
That's still you, isn't it?
I have a period there, but horrid and gush gold flushed more.
A husky fife note blew. Now you.
Blue. Blue bloom is on the gold pinnacled hair.
A jumping rose on satiny breasts of satin, rose of Castile.
Trilling, trilling, idolorous.
Peep, who's in the peep of gold?
Tink cried to bronze in pity.
And a call, pure, long and throbbing, long and dying call.
Decoy, soft word, but look, the bright stars fade. Oh, rose, notes chirruping, answer, Castile, the morn is breaking.
Jingle, jingle, jaunted jingling.
Coin rang, clock clacked.
Avowal, sonnet, I could, rebound of garter, not leave thee. Smack, la cloche, thigh smack, avowal, warm. Sweetheart, goodbye.
Jingle, blue.
Boomed crashing chords when love absorbs. War, war, the tympanum.
A sail, a veil, a wave upon the waves.
Lost, throstle fluted, all is lost now.
Horn, ha horn.
When first he saw, alas,
Full tup, full throb.
warbling, ah, lure, alluring.
Martha, come.
Clap, clap, clip, clap, clappy, clap.
Good God, he never heard in all. Death bald pat brought pad knife took up.
A moonlight night call, far, far.
I feel so sad. P.S. So lonely blooming.
Listen,
The spiked and winding cold sea horn. Have ye the? Each. And for the other plash and silent roar.
pearls when she lists rhapsodies. Hiss.
You don't?
Did not, no, no, believe. Lid, with a cock with a cara.
Black.
Deep sounding. Do, Ben, do.
Wait while you wait. He, wait while you he.
But wait.
Low in dark middle earth, embedded ore.
Namony damony, all gone, all fallen.
Tiny her tremulous fern foils of maiden hair.
Amen, he gnashed in fury.
Fro, to, fro, the baton, cool, protruding.
Bronze Lydia by Mina Gold.
By bronze, by gold, and ocean green of shadow, bloom, old bloom.
One rapped, one tapped with a cara, with a cock.
Pray for him, pray, good people.
His gouty fingers knackering.
Big Ben, Big Ben.
Last rose Castile of summer left bloom, I feel so sad alone.
Pew! Little wind piped wee.
True men, lid, cur, cow, de, and doll. Aye, like you men. Will lift your chink with chunk.
Oof.
Wear bronze from anear, wear gold from afar, wear hoofs.
Rupt, cra, crandle.
Then, not till then, my epitaph be frit.
Done.
Begin! So, what the hell was that?
Let's just jump in. So that is the overture, the opening page and a half of Sirens. And I remember the first time I read this, like, WTF, of course, like, what am I looking at here? And what are we looking at? I suppose those are the the words stripped out of their context so that they're existing just as the notes, I suppose, the musical notes of the episode, right? Because those are the phrases and so on that we see later on. So it's, I guess, the opening of a orchestra tuning, right? Getting ready, right, for
Tuning
the
up, yeah.
tuning up and so on, right? So,
Well, and if it's I think of them as like Wagnerian leitmotifs.
yeah,
In Wagner, in a Wagnerian opera, you've got a musical theme associated with a character, and I guess the most
right,
obvious is the jingle jangle jaunting jingle, which immediately signifies Blazes Boylan, right?
right,
And then we've got the Mina Gold and Bronze
right.
Lydia and so on. So
So there's
um,
epithets in there for sure. There's
yeah,
sounds in there, right?
mm,
What else do we have? I mean, just there's certainly sounds, right? Bodily
yeah,
sounds.
yes,
Uh,
a
uh,
man fourths,
a man fourths, as Virginia Woolf disapprovingly said.
yeah,
Yeah, and I guess it's another one of those really interesting, innovative experiments of Joyce. If you think about him as a mad scientist in his literary sort of alchemical sort of room, creating new things. This is another one. We talked about Aeolus and the headlines, right? Here we are at the beginning of Sirens with this. This what are we looking at? What are you doing here, right? And
mm.
I guess there's rightful debate. Does this work, right? Is it, some will say that this is very off-putting and, it's just a bunch
Off-putting
of
is
garble,
exactly the word I was
right?
going to
Like, I mean,
use. Yeah.
why are you, even the point of this, right? Because you really can you enjoy it the first time through? I don't think so. You have to, it's after you've been through and you see what he's doing in the episode, can you go back and appreciate it? And I guess the question then is it more intellectual appreciation, which I definitely have, than aesthetic appreciation? I don't know, right?
And yeah, I mean, some people will not want to go back and reread it. They'll just
Right.
throw it away in
Exactly.
disgust. Like, fuck this. Why? I'm not wasting my time. I don't understand. It's not worth the trouble. Why am I
Sure.
doing this?
I know. It seems
Um,
like if you've made it this far and you've been through Proteus, we've been talking about some of the chapters that are like, here's this train and you're about to jump off of it. Proteus. I would say the next one is Scylla and Charybdis. And now this one really just for the first couple of pages, right? But again, another disruption.
hmm,
Um, so yeah, and we haven't even gotten to Oxen of the Sun yet, right?
your
So yeah, he's
favorite.
challenging. Yeah, that's right. That's right. He's challenging us all the way. Like, and there, do we trust him to pull things off? And I think he does intellectually here with this opening. But uh, all that said, I love this. I love this episode. Right? It's one of my favorites for sure in terms of the performances and the things he's doing with language.
The last time I read it, like after we got back from Ireland, this was one of my favorite episodes, if not the favorite. This
Okay.
time, I don't know that I would necessarily say it's my favorite, but I did enjoy it, especially after I had read it 3 or 4 times. I felt like I needed to.
Yeah,
I felt like I didn't really have a handle on it, as I think I told you, until I had read it 3 or 4 times,
I
and
agree.
I don't. I think I don't enjoy it unless I get it. You know what I mean? Like unless
Yeah.
I really
Uh,
okay, I understand now what's going on. Maybe there are a couple of details that I missed, but overall, I've got a good grasp of this episode. So yeah, I like it.
and then you can actually enjoy the whimsy and the humor and the sounds of the horses, the farts, etc. Everything is in there, right? In the
Yeah.
leitmotifs, as you said. So
Mm.
I agree. I mean, that's the essence of what we're doing here, rejoicing that the book is better the second or third or fourth time through, right? When you have that familiarity to really be into it on that level.
Well, and I have to say, like, if you're going to listen to the audiobook version of any episode, this is definitely
It's
the one
fantastic.
you should listen to. Like the RTE version, I
Hmm.
listened once. It's really good and gave
It's
me
excellent.
you know, often I find the audiobook distracting. It's like I'd rather just read it again, but
Hmm.
particularly with this one, its theme, its art being music and sound being such an important part of it, to listen to the audiobook with all those different voices. And I think they're using like some sound effects too. Like it's
Right.
pretty well
Yeah, they do.
produced.
Oh, it's superlatively
Yeah, so I'll put that in
produced.
the
It's
show
fantastic.
notes.
Yeah, I
All
agree.
right, so
Let's.
that was the overture. Here's our schema. We call it the Gilbert Lenati Will schema. I'll let you take us through these. What's the scene? Where are we?
We are now in the concert room in the Ormond Hotel, right, which has a kind of side dining area, right? But the concert room is where the action takes place, and there's singers. The hour is 4 p.m. on, of course, June 16th, 1904. The organ is the ear. The art is music. The color, choral. Symbol, barmaids. The technique, fuga per canonem. And the correspondence is the barmaids of the Sirens, and the bar is the Isle, the island of the Sirens.
Hmm. Yeah, and the color is in parentheses because Gilbert doesn't recognize there being a
Mm.
color, but according to Ulysses' guide, you can think of coral as the color. And I did find one reference to coral in the text, which we'll discuss. Coral is a kind of red, pink, orange. It's like a
Mm.
combination of those three. I think of it as more red, maybe because of Shakespeare, right?
Mm.
Coral is far more red than her lips is red. Sonnet 130, I think it is, right?
Look at you. All right.
My mistress's eyes are nothing like
Oh,
the
that one.
sun.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right, right.
Coral is far more red than her lips red. So there seems to be a tradition in English poetry, at least, of associating coral with red. But, if you search, you will find that it's actually it's more orange. So it's kind of an orange red with a little bit of pink, and there are
Mm.
different shades of it. So not like the blood red of, what was it, Lestrygonians, or the pure red of Aeolus. So,
Right.
all right. So, that scene is the concert room at the Ormond Hotel, which has been, I understand, demolished. Here's a
Mm.
picture of modern Dublin. Someone painted a mural saying "Do not remove." I think there's a little part of the old hotel that still remains, and they're trying to preserve it, but most of it was knocked down. You can find a picture of it in its glory days. It's right along the river. It's basically on the riverbank, or the quay, they would call it, right? I'm not sure if it's the Liffey, but anyway, looked like a nice place back in the day, but times change.
Mm.
All right, and characters, we mentioned the two barmaids, which are the symbols. They're sometimes described as barmaids in exquisite contrast, and there are various puns on that phrase, but we already mentioned bronze and gold. Lydia Deuce is bronze, and Mina Kennedy is gold. And I've always thought of them as looking kind of like this barmaid in the Manet painting. You
Mm.
know, this is Lydia Deuce with the dirty blonde or brownish hair. Not I think of them as like they're not like gorgeous, but they're kind of attractive in a way, especially if you've been drinking. You'd probably, feel like maybe hitting on them or something,
Well,
right?
it's
But
definitely
look at her
it's
face in this painting. She's like, you know, uh, what can
man,
I get for you?
right. Well, in this chapter, it's definitely sort of their lair. They know how to deal with men. They know how to deal with men who are flirting with them, right?
Mm.
So yeah,
Aren't men frightful idiots?
aren't men frightful idiots? All
So,
right.
of course, we've also got Bloom and a lot of minor characters like this Loud Boots. We'll look at who he is. Simon Dedalus he's got a pretty big role. Linehan, more minor. The piano tuner or blind stripling. There's Bald Pat. Boylan makes I
Yep.
won't say a cameo. It's a pretty important appearance, but he's not around for long. Richie Goulding. Remember that Stevens uncle, Ben Dollard, Father Robert or Bob Cowley, two gentlemen with tankards of cool stout. George Lidwell comes in at the end, as does Tom Kernan. And then the whore of the lane.
Quote unquote. That's right.
Yeah. All right. And so the technique, as you mentioned, is fuga per canonum. Here's the AI slop. Now, I did not voluntarily ask for an AI overview. Sometimes when you just do a search, it automatically does this. So I'm not trying to be, expending energy and necessitating the building of more data centers. Just want to
Well,
clarify
they're
that.
baked into everything we're doing here. So
Yeah,
in any
well,
case,
says in James Joyce's Ulysses, fuga per canonum, Latin for canon or musical round. Really, it's fugue through canon. Is the author's stated technical model for Chapter 11, the Sirens episode set in the Ormond Hotel. Joyce claimed that's a key word there, the chapter follows a strict musical fugue containing 8 regular parts, I don't know what those 8 are, using language as counterpoint, leitmotif, and verbal sound. Now that's the interesting part, because the key elements are leitmotifs, and I'll let you define that.
words, noises, musical phrases are assigned to specific characters or motifs, much like recurring musical themes.
And counterpoint.
The thoughts of Leopold Bloom, the barmaids, the sirens, that is, and Blaze's Boylan overlap and echo simultaneously.
And automatopoeia and rhythm.
So Joyce mimics sound, fading echoes, and musical tempo using rapid shifts in syntax, fragments, and repeating linguistic chunks.
Yeah, the repetition is very key, I think. But it's...
And the idea of pieces, things aren't told in a linear fashion. So you have a little bit of this, a little bit of this, you go back to this. So these sort of pieces fitting together, right? Circling each other, complementing each other, contrasting with each other.
And there's quite a bit of that parallax, which is jarring the first time, because you think something is taking place in the same setting, like the Ormond Hotel, but then you realize, oh wait, this is talking about Bloom, who's walking down the street in another part of the city. You know what I mean? Yep. Or the blind stripling with his tap tap tap. It's like, this is not. We think we're in one place, namely the Ormond Hotel, but the narrator is referring to something going on elsewhere.
And that's, the first time through, you don't know really what's like the tap, tap, tap. You don't realize
no idea what that is.
Till the end that tap, tap, tap word sound onomatopoeia is the blind stripling making his way, right? Or, as you mentioned, Blazes and his jingle jangle, right?
You're right, yeah.
The sound of the carriage he gets in to go to Molly's.
All right, so there's some critical debate. Scholars note that a fuga per canonum, a round, and a traditional fugue are technically distinct musical forms. So again, he's playing with this. Critics debate whether Joyce executed a strict musical form or simply used a rich lyrical illusion of absolute music to mirror Bloom's auditory experience in Dublin. And does it really matter? I mean, that's a question for everybody, really. And I thought this quote also, we talked about what he said after he finished this particular episode, but more generally, what did he say?
I've put in so many enigmas and puzzles that it will keep the professors busy for centuries arguing over what I meant, and that's the only way of ensuring one's immortality.
So there it is.
There you go.
He's pulling our legs. He's fucking with us. All right, this episode is broken down into 2 parts, words and music. You know why? Because someone told me, your strength is words. A mother hen told me that one time, or told you that.
That's right. So I will be words and you will be music, right? So
M for music.
Fantastic. That's right. I'll just dive in here. We've been talking a little about this, but first of all, this chapter, this episode is sort of a homage, if you will, right? To the musicality of Dubliners. And one thing I learned was that they have a passion for music and singers in particular, right? Here's a quote from the Gilbert source I'm using. One of the most remarkable features of Dublin life in the heyday of Mr. Bloom was the boundless enthusiasm of all classes of citizens for music, especially of the vocal and operatic varieties. This passion is illustrated by their cult of the divo, carried to a degree unknown even in Italy. So they outdid the Italians in terms of their passion. This was like a obsession with them, and they knew all the amateur musicians and their names, and these were like celebrities and so on. So this is the one place where, like, Simon Dedalus, we've seen what a shitty father he is. This is where he can shine and be this performer and so on, right?
Yeah. A
And then
divo, not a diva. I mean,
that's right.
Molly is a diva, but in a way, she takes a back seat to the divos like Big Ben
Dollar, right?
Yeah.
This is an episode of Devos, among other things, right? And then a little background on the Ormond Bar, which, as you said, is gone now, but it was apparently, quote, a favorite haunt of Dublin's amateur musicians, and the saloon was frequently the setting for the small concerts that were popular in turn-of-the-century Dublin, and in which the distinction between amateur and professional was not of much importance. I really like that piece.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
So this went beyond just adulation.
Yeah, it's almost like karaoke night, right? Like anyone can get up and sing, and it's appreciated.
Right. Which explains why the men are doing this, and the idea that this passion goes beyond just the adulation of professionals, right? This is like, we can do this too, and this is who we are as well, right? So, yeah. All right, there we go.
Yeah, it's kind of like on Bloomsday, they have pub reads, right? Like sort of like what we did with the overture. Everyone takes a line and you just go around, and some people are more skilled at dramatic reading than others, but every reader has, a part to play, and every reader's part is valid. It's a communal thing.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get back there on Bloomsday again one day.
We didn't make it to the Ormond Bar or the former site thereof, I don't think.
We were at Glasnevin Cemetery at the beginning of the day, and we saw an incredible, more performance than reading, wasn't it, of that scene? It was amazing.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so just again, thinking about the episode as a whole, we have the interrelation between the organ, which is the ear, the art, music, and the technique, the fuga. These all come together. We've already talked about the orchestral overture, the opening 2 pages, a collection of sounds and whatnot. And the term interpolations or intrusions, useful ways to think of the fugue-like structure of these different parts that we've been talking about, right? At least it helps me sort of to visually imagine what this looks like. In terms of the way this is operating on the sentence level, you'll have a lot of fugue-like syntactical variations. Here is one describing Miss Kennedy. Miss Kennedy sauntered sadly from bright light, twining a loose hair behind an ear. Sauntering gladly, gold no more, she twined a hair. Sadly, she twined in sauntering gold hair behind a curving ear. Just 3 sentences saying the same thing in different ways, using alliteration a little bit differently. Lovely to hear. I really like it. He also does a bunch of polyphonic verbal repetitions. He uses portmanteau words, neologisms, a lot of assonance, a lot of alliteration. So here's another quote describing the laughter of the Sirens. Shrill with deep laughter, after bronze and gold, they urged each to peal after peal, ringing in changes, bronze, gold, gold, bronze, shrill deep to laughter after laughter. Beautiful, right? There's a kind of like rhythmic flow to that, right? You're getting drawn into the language. We hear later Lenehan, who's waiting for Boylan. With patience, Lenehan waited for Boylan with impatience. For jingle jaunty Blaze's boy. And then later we hear Lenehan with Blazes. Lenehan Small aisles a hunger on her humming, burst a humming, tugged blazes Boylan's elbow sleeve. So he's, he's pretty sycophantic, isn't he?
It's a,
Lenehan keeps
yeah, I was gonna say
he
he's
keeps
like a hanger
popping up.
on.
He's kind of a shitty guy, right? He's one of those annoying people. He's like, this is like the third or fourth episode maybe he's shown up. He's always just kind of annoying. He adulates Boylan. Yeah, we can keep going here. So we've got
And
all that kind of
we find out Linehan's a fatty too in this episode. I didn't know how to picture him before.
So anyway, we've got all that operating on the level of the sentence, right? But then we have some just beautiful moments. One of the devos who performs in the chapter, Simon Dedalus, modeled after Joyce's own father, and the depiction of his singing is just, for me, some of the best parts of the episode. We hear brain tipped, cheek touched with flame. They listened, feeling that flow, endearing flow over skin, limbs, human heart, soul, spine. So this is the effect of his singing on the men. And then we hear later, through the hush of air, a voice sang to them, lo, not rain, not leaves in murmur, like no voice of strings or reeds or what do you call them, dulcimers,
I love
touching
that.
their still ears with words, still hearts of their each his remembered lives. Beautiful. And then this
I
is
love
my favorite.
What do you call them, dulcimers?
What do you call them? And he wedges all those words together, right? He like smacks them together. And then finally, this bit where I guess he gets the apex of his singing. It soared a bird, it held its flight, a pure, swift cry. Soar silver orb, it leaped serene, speeding, sustained, to come. Don't spin it out too long. Long breath he breathed, long life, soaring high, high resplendent, aflame, crowned, high in the effulgence symbolistic, high of the ethereal bosom, high of the high vast irradiation everywhere, all soaring all around about the all, the endlessness.
Yeah, that's great.
Just extraordinary stuff, right? And I love that high in the effulgence symbolistic. Something about that is just incredible to me. So long, flowing sentences, and the language here is becomes leaves signification and becomes almost music. And then then you have these phrases that bring you back to some kind of signification. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. I'm reminded of the Beckett play Words and Music, oddly enough. I don't know if you have read that one or seen or heard that one. I mean, it literally does have music. Like there was a score that was composed for those performances. My friend Craig and I actually did an episode of Guitar and Pen on that. I think, actually, as I was reading this episode, I thought a lot about Beckett. I think he was greatly influenced by this particular episode.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point. And we know about Beckett and Joyce and their history, so.
Yeah.
All right. You mentioned this earlier that Bloom, our everyman who's a all-cultured round man, I think Lenehan calls him that earlier. Or maybe it's in this chapter. I don't remember. No, it's earlier.
Yeah.
But Bloom has a series of insights about singing and music. So as he's hearing these men sing, he has all these just thoughts, right? Words, music? No, it's what's behind. And then he says, it's in the silence you feel, you hear, vibrations, now silent air. Then he says, numbers it is. All music when you come to think. So he's thinking about the nature of music and what it is,
and all its multifariousness, it's
right.
It's what's behind the words in the music, and yet it's all just numbers. So he has like conflicting thoughts and feelings about it.
And it's in the silence you hear. It's like after the note rings, it's that moment right after where you feel something, right? So he's having these very interesting thoughts about music. We hear also in some of the descriptions the ubiquity of music, that music is in everything, right? Sea, wind, leaves, thunder, waters, cows, lowing, the cattle market, cocks, hens don't crow, snakes hiss, there's music everywhere, Rutledge's door, creaking. So music is tearing down the boundaries between, right, what's musical and what's not. Any sound can be music. And
The art
that
of
brought to
noise.
the art of noise. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is kind of 20th century. He's prefiguring the kind of stuff that, I don't know, John Cage is going to experiment with, right?
Yeah, Edgar
And
Varese.
right. And that brought to my mind a moment from the Aeolus episode where we hear Bloom listening to the Doors and so on, right? No, not the Doors. The slit
The
is the
printing press.
the printing press. Slit, almost human
Slit.
the way it's slit to call attention, doing its best to speak. That door too, slit, creaking, asking to be shut. Everything speaks in its own way. Slit. And I think we highlighted that when we looked at that. So here we have an echo of that notion, right? And Joyce, the mad scientist, thinking about words as musical notes and the things that he hears, everything is music, not just things that come out of a traditional instrument. And what else? What else is music?
Something that comes out the ass.
The moment that one of the many moments Virginia Woolf objected to, even farts, right? Do you want to read these quotes, these depictions of them?
Sure, I'll read the farts. Whee! A wee little wind piped ee, and Bloom's little wee. Prr, prr. You already read this one in the overture. Ooh. Prr, prr. Prr, 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 prr.
I think that's the end. That's the last note of the chapter, right?
I think I included some of these in my notes
Joyce
too.
the Trickster, the Joker, etc. And here's Virginia Woolf.
Lady Virginia was displeased. Tell us about that.
I put in quotes her ladylike, quote unquote, classist dismay about Ulysses. In a letter to Light and Strachey, she says, "First, there's a dog that pees. Then there's
P
a man
apostrophe S.
She can't
even write it, you know.
She can't write it. Then there's a man that forths, Forth, right? She does not write.
What is that? That's so
well, that's her haughty dismissal.
prudish,
Can you imagine, right? And then in a diary
she can't
entry,
write the. I mean, hey, Virginia. Even Chaucer used the word fart, Fart. Why can't you?
She is not of the Chaucerian earthy side of the canon for sure. But in a diary entry, she wrote about Ulysses that she felt, quote, puzzled, bored, irritated, and disillusioned by a queasy undergraduate scratching his pimples. That's such classist shittiness, isn't it, right? And she also went on to describe the novel as, quote, illiterate and, quote, underbred. It's an
underbred.
Right. It's
such
a queasy
poor breeding these dirty Irishmen have.
These dirty Irishmen, these dirty lower class pimple scratching men. They're pretensions, and they bring fourths and peas into literature. I get a kick out of that because I do love Virginia Woolf, but
it's hilarious.
Here, Virginia Woolf,
and yeah, she was in spite of herself influenced by him when writing Ms. Dalloway, right?
Yeah, influenced by him, and there are a lot of other experiments going on. But sure, she also has her amazing epic of a day, which I just revisited, and it is just one of my favorite books, right? She does interesting things in her other books as well. So another, modernist doing new things. But yeah, this is, again, the artist, amazing. The person, she's being a classist snob for sure, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we have the
How
Sirens,
dare he poach in our fields?
That's what it sounds like, right? Then there's the Sirens, of course, Bronze Lydia Deuce and Gold Mina Kennedy. But Molly Bloom is also there implicitly as a siren, and we've already seen her as Calypso in the Calypso episode, right? So we have some imagistic echoes, right? There's a mermaid poster, right, that we see over and over in this episode. Here's one depiction. It says, Wise Bloom eyed on the door a poster, the swaying mermaid smoking mid-nice waves. So that's the poster we see, right, throughout. And it brought to my mind the nymph print called the Bath of the Nymph above Molly's bed. You'll remember when we first meet Molly, and Calypso, she has
Right.
that, and the symbol, is, I think the nymph is the symbol for that chapter, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So here we
Yes.
have the siren, here we have the nymph. So there's, they're connected in that way.
Sure. I mean, nymph, mermaid, siren, they're not exactly interchangeable, but they're synonymous, right? Like they're very
Mm-hmm.
similar creatures, I guess you could say.
Right. And the barmaid are, of course, the sirens, right? This moment, I think, is great. At lecherous Lenehan's request, which one is the one who pulls this? I think it's Miss
Oh,
Deuce, I
it's
think.
Miss Deuce, of course, right?
Right, right. So
Like
she,
that.
she
As I mean, I noticed this, and I'll mention it later. But Miss Kennedy is the more reserved
okay,
and
I
prudish
know.
one, right? Like uh,
And is
Mina,
that
or
gold or
sorry, that's
is that
gold.
gold?
Gold is Mina Kennedy, right? And
Right. Okay.
bronze is Lydia Deuce, and
She's a
she's
little more sassy
saucy,
and
sassy. Yeah,
saucy. Right.
she's
Right.
the, what would we say, the charming soubrette, or the
The charming soubrette. That's right.
giglet. She's the giglet. Remember that
That's right.
word? Yeah.
That's right. That's right. So she's Lenehan is like leering and flirting with her, and
In
apparently
a
she's done this
creepy way. I
before in a
mean,
creepy way. And she pulls her garter, right? And the depiction is smack. She let free sudden and rebound her nipped elastic garter, smack warm against her smackable woman's warm hosed thigh, right?
yeah.
Lenehan applauds and so on. So she's pulling the garter, messing with them, and
It's
then later
quite
we
an
hear
erotic description, too. A lot of the languages. I've got some other examples of that, but really pretty sexy and sensual.
right, right, right. And here's Lenehan's reaction. Lenehan still drank and grinned at his tilted ale, and as Miss Deuce's lips that all but hummed, not shut, the ocean song her lips had trilled. There's the ocean song, right? The seductive song of the sirens and so on, right? So they're obviously the sirens, but right, we also get in this chapter a quick reference to Bloom's first time seeing Molly, who is singing, right? Quick memory that goes, waiting, she sang. Bosom I saw, both full, throat warbling. First I saw, she thanked me. Why did she me? Fate, Spanishy eyes, at me, luring, alluring. So he's lured in by the singer Molly, the siren himself, right?
And we remember that from the overture. Ah,
Right.
alluring. That was there.
Alluring.
Luring, ah, alluring.
Right,
That's
right,
great. Great wordplay. Yeah, so that's a good point. Molly is like the third siren, though unseen. Her presence is felt not only by
right.
Bloom, but the other frightful idiots in the bar. Right? They're thinking of
That's right.
her and talking
Yeah,
about her
that
too.
this is an ongoing thing throughout the book that I'm finding like both sad and funny. The way that Molly and specifically her body, men talk about her all the time when they see Bloom. The general impression is like, how did he get her? What? Right?
Yeah.
And
Speaking of
speaking,
that,
yeah, I mean, Molly is here in this episode a lot. There's more suitors, right, who admire Molly's figure. And I won't read this quote again because we looked at it last time. But in the previous episode, just summarizing, remember that Lenehan depicts jolting in the carriage alongside her and says things like she's a gamey mare, make no mistake, right? And that
the lad
well,
stood to attention
the
anyhow.
lad stood to attention, right? Bloom pointing out the stars and comets, but he says, but by God, I was lost, so to speak, in the Milky Way. So there he is in the
She
previous
has a
chapter.
fine pair, God bless her.
That's right. And then later in
So
in this
crude.
episode, he's so crude. He's so crude. But Ben
Under
Dollard, one of
I
the
would even say underbred.
a queasy undergraduate popping his pimples, right?
Yeah.
But in this episode, Ben Dollard, one of the singers, Big Ben, says to Simon Dedalus, because they see Bloom briefly, and he asks about Molly. What was her name? What's this? Her name was a bosom lassie, Marion. So bosom lassie, gamey mare, right? She had a fine pair. Everybody's talking about her curvaceous earth goddess figure, I suppose, right?
It's interesting
Anyway,
that he doesn't know her. Like, haven't they done shows and performances together?
yeah. His name is slipping here, but what he does remember is that she's a bosom lassie, right?
Is it
Uh,
bosom or buxom? I wonder.
bosom, excuse,
Bosomy.
a bosom lassie.
Okay, that's okay. Interesting expression.
Busom, yeah, lassie. And in this episode, with all this talk about Molly, we have Boylan, uh, uh, who Lenehan thinks is the conquering hero, but the narrator makes clear that Bloom is the unconquered hero, right? So that's an interesting.
Yeah,
Boylan will go and conquer Molly that day, but guess what? In the long run here, Bloom will be unconquered. This will not conquer him, and nor will it destroy his marriage, right?
that's a great dichotomy.
Yeah. But anyway, so interestingly, Bloom on the streets, it's 4 p.m., he spots Boylan, right? He sees him.
Again.
He again, right? Remember, why don't you remind us where he saw him before?
Well, he saw him on the way to the library, or I guess he was
Yeah.
going through the museum.
And remember, that's the episode. At the end of that episode, he has a panic attack. Right? He's so overwhelmed. This time, he sees him, and he takes note of the coincidence. Wow, ran into this guy again, and he decides to follow him stealthily. Right, so he follows Boylan, and that's how Bloom ends up at the Ormond. Right, and goes off to the side into the dining hall where he sits with Richie Golden.
No, I didn't think about that. Yeah. He would have
So anyway,
he would have left if he hadn't run into Golding, probably, right?
probably, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
Okay.
Bloom questions Boylan's character, right? Because it's near 4 o'clock, and he knows that that's the time he's supposed to be meeting Molly. And he says, "Be near at 4." Has he forgotten? Perhaps a trick, not come. Whet appetite. I couldn't do, right? So he's gonna
He couldn't
not show
stand
up.
up a date. Is that what he's saying?
Yeah, he's like, is he just trick her? Is he gonna just whet her appetite, and like, is he just messing with her? And then he says, "I couldn't do that. I wouldn't do that if I were." So, and Boylan is rearing to go. He goes into the Ormond bar. Lenehan, crude as always, says to him, "Oh, got the horn or what?"
It's hilarious.
Uh, anyway, so Bloom is in the dining room alongside the bar, right? And we see the unconquered hero suffering and enduring, right? When Boylan leaves the Ormond bar, Bloom we have this line: Bloom heard a jing, a little sound. He's off. Light sob of breath, Bloom sighed on the silent blue-hued flowers. Jingling, he's gone. Jingle, here.
What's jingling? His
That's the
keys?
sound of.
Does he have keys in his pocket or something?
I
Like
think that's the sound of the
coins?
carriage that leaves. The carriage that he leaves in, I believe.
Oh,
Isn't it?
okay.
Or is that?
I don't know.
But that's the sound. Jingle jangle is associated with
He's
the
got
movements of Boylan.
a coin. Remember, coin clacked.
Right, he does.
Is that, or is it clock clacked? Coin rang. Coin rang.
Coin
Clock
rang.
clack.
Right.
I mean, does he have coins jingling in his pocket? He reminds me of my
Possibly, yeah.
maternal grandfather, who was always like, he had his hands in his pockets. You could always hear him jingling his change, you know?
Jingling the change. Interesting. Interesting.
I don't know. It's almost like he has bells on, you know? I'll be there at 4 with bells on, Molly.
Jing, jing, jing. Right, right.
But yeah, maybe it is the horse's carriage.
I believe that's part of it too. But through all this, Bloom is resigned. He's stoical. He says, "Too late. She longed to go. That's why. Woman, as easy to stop as the sea. Yes, all is lost." I mean, he's not going to try to fight it.
As easy to stop as what? The sea, which is where the Sirens reside.
Right. And then this is something I noticed, the bound Odysseus parallel. In the Odyssey, Odysseus binds himself to the mast of his ship, right? So he can hear the siren song, right? And then while Simon Dedalus is singing the song, let's see, Me Appari, a song about intense heartbreak, romantic obsession, and desperate longing for a lost love, Bloom is playing Cat's Cradle, right? He's got his hands he's kind of distracting himself with his hands tangled up. and he imagines the quote flood of warm Jim Jam, lick it up secretness,
That's
and
great.
the impending trust between basically Boylan and Molly. So he's looking at that right in his mind, like in the language here, flood of warm Jim Jam, lick it up secretness, right? Um, uh, so he's bound himself in some sense, and he's looking at this horror right in the face.
He's a cuck,
Yeah, he's a cuck.
and he
He
likes
is a
it.
cuck. Yeah, yeah, I think he does. It's that there's that painful pleasure he's experiencing, right?
Warm Jim Jam, lick it up. That's great. That reminds me of that passage describing the sniveling nose jam, right? Remember that
Oh,
from
right,
Lestragonians,
right,
the slaughtered sheep and cattle and so on.
right,
Just really
right.
graphic. And
This is just this ejaculatory image. This
yeah,
one suspects that he's imagining that they're probably not using any kind of protection, right? There you go.
Cat's Cradle. Yeah, that's that game that you play with either a string, a loop of string,
Around your
or a
hands or
rubber
fingers,
band in
right,
this case.
right, 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 right.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. He is
Um,
bound.
and Bloom is the cuck and the voyeur, right? This is funny to me. My ear against the wall to hear. Want a woman who can deliver the goods. I mean, he wants to be there listening to it, right?
Hmm.
And yet, with all this going on, there's still this. He's haunted by Rudy again. I too lost my race. Millie, young student. Well, my fault, perhaps. No son. Rudy. Too late now. Or if still, he bore no hate. Hate, love. Those are names. Rudy. Soon I am old. Pretty depressing.
Hmm.
He's bound in many ways here, right? But he's thinking about aging. He doesn't have a son, and his wife, meanwhile, is doing her thing.
But he's
Um,
unconquered.
but he's unconquered, and he distracts himself with another siren because during this episode, amid all these thoughts, he writes to Martha, right? So he's still got his erotic pen pal that we've already talked about.
So
Um,
here's four. If you're keeping score at home, the two barmaids, Molly and Martha, makes four, and we're
that's
not
right.
done yet.
By any means. And here's the depiction of Boylan's actual arrival. Everything's been building to this point.
Yeah.
And we get the depiction here. One rapped on a door, one tapped with a knock. Did he knock? Paul de Cock, with a loud, proud knocker, with a cock. Cara, 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 cock, cock, cock. What are your thoughts about that?
I mean, it's musical, obviously. It's another callback to Paul de Kock. And remember, Molly said, "Nice name he has." And did you know that he's
One of the
an
smutty
actual
novels he's reading in the Calypso chapter, just to remind
right?
people, right?
And he's an actual author. Did you know that? I didn't know
I
that
did
until I
not.
looked it up. That's a
Paul
picture
de
of him.
Kock.
That's a picture of him there. He's a French. It's like that Velvet Underground song, about some dirty French novel. That's what this guy wrote, and Molly devours them with alacrity, similar to
Yeah,
the Sweets of Sin with Raoul, which
that's right.
Bloom now has on his
He picked it
person.
up. That's right.
Yeah, he
That
got
was
it
in
at the book cart in Wandering
Wandering
Rocks. Yeah.
Rocks. That's right. Devoted. That's we've talked about this, but it's just over and over. He's a devoted husband. He's a cuck. He's mourning his marriage. All of this happening at once.
Hmm.
All right. And then just a couple of points of intrigue, wrapping things up. We see again the mystery man in the Macintosh in Bloom's thoughts. Bloom thinks, wonder who was that chap at the grave in the brown Mackin. So he's going to appear a few more times. And then finally, the quote unquote whore of the lane.
Number
Right?
5.
Whore of the lane. And this is Bloom, right? This is after he leaves the bar, right? And he sees her on the streets at the very end of the episode.
Hmm.
He sees a woman, and he has this antagonistic reaction. He thinks to himself, "See me, does she? Looks a fright in the day, face like dit. Damn her. Oh well, she has to live like the rest." And so, who is this whore of the lane? And sounds it's probably a blast from the past. The Ulysses Guide overview of the episode states that a shabby-looking whore approaches, and Bloom recognizes her. We might infer that this woman is Bridie Kelly, the prostitute to whom Bloom lost his virginity many years ago. Bloom worries that she might recognize him. And I believe Bridie Kelly is going to show up in the Cersei episode, the Phantasmagora, and so on. So Bloom lost his virginity, just like Stephen, just like Joyce, to a prostitute.
The whore of the lane.
The whore of the lane.
Siren number 5.
All
right. Well, your strength was definitely words today. And my strength apparently is music, though the mother hen never told me that. There's a lot of overlap here, so I'm not going to read everything. But as usual, I wanted to like flesh out the main characters. So we have those barmaids. We already talked about Bronze Lydia by Mina Gold. It's funny how she says, I feel all wet. You know, a siren, her domain is the sea, right? So she's going to be wet. But what does she mean here? It's like she peed herself. She laughed so hard. And then here's the more prudish Miss Kennedy, right? Oh, Miss Deuce, Miss Kennedy protested. You horrid thing.
I think the innuendo of wet may be what we think it is.
Could be that too, yeah. Gaily, well, wait, I don't know. What do you think it is?
I don't know. I'd have to look at that moment again.
Okay, gaily Miss Deuce polished a tumbler, trilling, and this is where she's singing about Idolores, the Queen of the Eastern Sea or whatever. Here's one of those really sensual passages. She bronze, that would be Lydia, right? Dealing from her jar thick, syrupy liquor for his lips, that's Boylan's lips, looked as it flowed. Flower in his coat? Who gave him? And syruped with her voice, fine goods in small parcels. So did you notice that flirtation going on?
Yeah, I mean, yes. And I noticed that basically Boylan, again, shows that he's got away with the gals, doesn't he? Right?
Yeah.
Remember, with the shopkeeper, and here they're kind of drawn to him.
Game ball. We used to remember that's what he called the shop girl in the previous episode. Right. Send that to my friend. She's an invalid. Would you do that for me, game ball?
That's right.
And then he just like checks out her cleavage. This for me, and he just takes the flower, puts it in his mouth. Mm-hmm. Very bold. So he's
and now it's in his coat, right? It's in his coat here.
Yeah.
Right?
And she wonders who gave him, right? Like she definitely
yeah. Where'd he get that? Right.
Is interested in him, you know.
I love that
more than a customer of the Ormond Hotel, I'll put it that way. And there's a hint that Miss Kennedy also, I don't necessarily have it in the notes, but I think she also wonders who gave him the rose. Like even she, the more prudish one, kind of is interested in him, you know.
Yeah. And I love the bit that she serves him thick, syrupy liquor for his lips. And then she syruped with her voice.
Yes.
That's
fine
fantastic.
Goods in small parcels. Very flirtatious. There's mention of the ocean song. Bronze Deuce. Did I spell that right? Communing with her rose that sank in rose. I think part of the uniform of these barmaids is a rose, right? And that's why Linehan calls,
and maybe that explains
both
the
of
coral.
them Rose of
if
Castile.
Color is the color, right?
Well, there's another reference to that, but yeah. Bending, she neaped a peak of skirt. You read that when she pops the garter. You know what the French means? Sonner la cloche.
Sound the, what is it?
Bell. Ring the bell.
Sound the bell.
Pop.
That's right.
So they have like a ritual, apparently. This is not the first time, you know. When Linehan goes in, he orders a drink, but he wants her to sonner la cloche.
That's
right. He wants her to ring the bell, pop that garter for me. Come on, no one's looking, no one's here. Do it.
And this Dublin woman is this Dublin girl is playing the French soubrette, right?
The charming
Interestingly,
soubrette. But, at the same time, you're bad. You're the
yeah, yeah,
essence of vulgarity. She says to Linehan, but before that, she smile smirked, supercilious, wept. Aren't men? But lightward gliding, mild she smiled on Boylan. So
right.
she's the remark about vulgarity that's directed towards Linehan, but she
Right.
actually hopes Boylan is into it, And when he
Mm-hmm.
leaves quickly thereafter, she's like, "What was it? Something I said or did? He didn't like when I rang the bell." Um. Okay. Yeah. This I've got to read this one. Actually, it's on 286 in mine. Speaking of erotic, this is unbelievable. Do you remember the passage about the beer pool?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
On the smooth,
Yep.
jutting beer pool laid Lydia hand lightly,
Jesus.
plumply, leave it to my hands.
Oh my
All
God.
lost in pity for Crappie. Ben Dollard has been singing about the Crappie boy, right? So everyone's feeling sentimental. Fro, to, fro. Over the polished knob. She knows his eyes, my eyes, her eyes. Her thumb and finger passed in pity, passed,
uh,
repassed, and gently touching, then slid so smoothly, slowly down. A cool, firm, white enamel baton
oh Jesus.
protruding through their sliding ring. With a cock
She's a.
with a cara
So basically, she is giving a hand job to the bull pool in a
to the
beer
beer
pool
pool.
in a very sensuous fashion. And it's interesting. Is that a description of what she's doing? Is that what the men see? It's. I think she knows
Yeah,
what she's doing, right?
yeah,
Naughty Joyce.
yeah.
But
Okay,
certainly the
well,
Sirens, the seductress, she's toying with these guys.
yeah. Well, I've got some other passages I highlighted, but
Yeah,
it's too much excitement, so we better
that is
better
quite the
stop.
passage.
But yeah, just before that, I forgot to mention the coral lips. It says Miss
Yeah,
Kennedy
yeah, yeah.
smirked, disserving coral lips at first, at second. These are the two gentlemen with the tankards of stout, right? So
Right,
she's got
right.
coral lips. Coral is far more red than her lips read, right? From the
Mm-hmm.
Shakespearean sonnet. So I think this is why Joyce was able to tell Mr. Lenati that, coral is the secret color of Sirens.
So
So
the lips, the color of the
it's
lips of the
lipstick
siren.
basically, right?
Yeah,
So she's
right,
either
right.
got like red, orange, pink, that
Mm-hmm.
that flavor or color of lipstick maybe. All right, so Bloom is very important even though he's not in the bar at the beginning, he slinks in later. Blue Who, and then he's got a lot of epithets or
Yeah.
epithets, right? Greasy Bloom, and I've got some questions about that, but one thing he resolves to do is write to Martha. To Martha, I must write by paper daily. So at the beginning, he does that, right? Before
Right.
he ends up at the Ormond. He sees Boylan. It is third time coincidence. So there's actually a third time, like before the library. When did he see him before that? On the street?
I think he
Nope.
sees him.
Hades. They pass
Hades.
him
Yeah.
in the carriage.
They pass
So
him
that
in the carriage.
this is the
Right.
third time. So Hades,
Right.
um, what? Library and now Sirens, yeah.
Yeah. No. Right.
And he runs into the bag of Goulding Collis Ward, which, this is Richie Goulding, Stephen's uncle, maternal uncle, right?
Right.
Who is despised by Simon Deadless, but
Right.
anyway, we know he's got backache issues, and he's
Right.
the one who has some strange relationship with his daughter, who's referred to as Papa's little lump of dung or whatever. That's what
Simon
Simon
says, being a little
Deathless calls
shit.
her.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Papa's little lump of tongue.
Which I guess the father indulged or whatever. But anyway, he works for a law firm, and so he's got the bag representing the firm. He sees Bloom and says, "Hey, let's have something here." They order power and cider from Bald Pat. This is interesting. Leopold, that is Bloom, cut liver slices. As said before, he ate with relish the inner organs, nutty gizzards, fried cod's roes, while Richie Goulding, Collis Ward, ate steak and kidney, then steak, bite by bite of pie he ate, Bloom ate, they ate. It's only been 2 hours since he ate the sandwich at Davy Burns, right? There's a lot of eating and drinking going on.
Interesting, that little tag also, as said before, right?
As said before, right.
Joyce doesn't do that often, right?
Right.
But he's reminding, as said before, when we first met him, right?
Yeah, it's a little aside, or I don't know. It's like he's winking at us. Remember when I said that? Usually we have to figure it out on our own, but strangely, he says, as said before. And of course, that's referring back to the beginning of Calypso, right? The beginning of this whole section.
Yep.
I thought this was interesting. Bloom with Goulding, married in silence, ate. Dinners fit for princes. For some reason, they're associated with princes. In liver gravy, Bloom mashed potatoes. So he mashed his mashed potatoes. It's kind of like he doesn't even really want to be eating. He's like, he's playing with his food almost, right?
Yeah, I mean, his thoughts are elsewhere. We've been talking about this. This is the quotidian or the prosaic. What's happening on the surface, right? Men are eating, right? But obviously, right? What else is happening? Everything we've been talking about, right? He's followed his nemesis in here. He's tormented by all these thoughts, etc., right? So the action, the epic action, is in the interior, right? Not in the exterior.
Yeah, and while he's listening to Simon sing, he almost merges with him, and the narrator says Siopold. So it's like Simon Leopold blended together, which is, I mean, there we have the two fathers of Stephen.
Yeah. We also
made
have
one by the music, they're musically communing.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And Simon and Leopold both also associate themselves with the Lionel from the song. And who's the song addressed to? Martha. That's that Mapari, that Italian aria, whatever. At first I'm like, who is Lionel? It took a couple of readings before I understood. Oh, that is the character in the song from this music drama or music hall. I don't know, like music hall opera, I guess, musical basically.
I remember seeing that. I read this, a bit back, but Siopold, that's in the middle of Bloom listening to the music, right?
Yeah, he's Simon, finishes his air on a high note or whatever, and
Siopold,
and Bloom is right there with him, So they kind of merge and commune musically.
That's a great depiction of what, music is the most visceral of arts in a lot of ways, right? You get moved by a song, and then you, what a wonderful way to represent that, the sort of merging of the artist and what he's created, and the audience,
and the listener. The artist and audience become one, right?
Yeah, wonderful.
So the soap. He mentions the soap feeling rather sticky behind.
That's right. He's got the damn soap in him the whole time, right?
Yeah. Remember in Hades, he had to adjust his seating because he was he was sitting on the soap, and so now
I love the way that recurs.
Sticky.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
So Bloom in the Ormond hallway heard growls and roars of "Bravo!" and then he thinks, "Glad I avoided." So he and Goulding are kind of they're in like the dining room, which is separate from the saloon, or what they're calling the concert
alongside of it,
room.
separate. Right, exactly.
And so this is why he tells bald deaf Pat to leave the door open, right? So they can hear
Right.
but not be seen. So this is kind of like the audio version of the voyeur, right? I'm going to
Yeah.
listen without being seen,
Yeah.
you know?
Right. Exactly.
See
And of course,
bloom,
that goes
grease a
back to
bloom.
the organ of the chapter is the ear, right?
Right.
Listening to the music.
Hmm. All right, so Simon, of course, is another important character. This is kind of a disgusting detail, right? Chips, picking chips off one of his rocky thumbnails. Chips. So he's just paring his fingernails, as
Yeah.
you know, Stephen says God the Creator did in Portrait. Remember that?
Right.
This is funny too. He's talking to Ms. Deuce, right? That was exceedingly naughty of you, Mr. Dedalus told her and pressed her hand indulgently, tempting poor simple males. And then she says, "Oh, you're not simple, I don't think," or something like that. He says, "I look so simple in the cradle, they christened me Simple Simon." So there's
Flirting.
a
He's sitting there flirting
flirtation
with the
here. Yeah,
barmaid,
right.
right?
Even though
Teasing
he's
her. It's like, I know what you're doing, right? And then he's sitting there, yeah.
probably old
Oh,
enough to be her father, but
oh, for sure.
whatever.
Absolutely.
And then he brought with him a pouch and pipe. He blew through the flue 2 husky fife notes. So here again, a regular pipe. I made the gesture of cigarette, but it's actually a pipe he has, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
this too can be a musical instrument.
Mm-hmm.
He
Two
fingered
husky.
shreds of hair, her maiden hair, her mermaids, into the bowl. Chips, shreds, musing, mute. I don't know what that is. She left some hair on the bar or something. I mean, he wouldn't have been so bold as to pull a piece out
Mm.
of her head. So I guess some of her hair was on the bar, and he's like picking that up along with the fingernail clippings.
Granular attention to detail
Yeah,
rendered musically.
it's strange. There's repetition of this phrase too. Love and war. God be with old times. This gets a little bit cloying, this sentimentality, you know. It's like all of these old losers reminiscing about the good old times, which were, of course, never that good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This is funny. Mrs. Marion Bloom has left off clothes of all descriptions. Okay. They're talking. I think they're talking about how they had that secondhand clothing
Yeah.
store. Is that how they got
That's
the too tight trousers for Ben Dollard?
Yeah, I think that's the context for that. There's I forget which episode where we get a reference to the fact that at one point she was they were selling secondhand clothes to make
Hmm.
money.
Our friend Maria pointed out this phrase to me previously: "Buccinator muscle." I think this is Simon saying "Buccinator muscle" is what? Bit rusty. He's trying to puff on his pipe and he can't. The Buccinator muscle is like the mouth muscles or the chin muscles, right? So
Is that what it
it's like,
is?
yeah. So if you can't suck your pipe, your Buccinator muscle is a bit rusty, perhaps.
All right, I had no
Um,
idea.
and I don't know. She had an interesting theory about the significance of that, right? Like the something about the sucking in relation to music and maybe
Mm.
other activities. Um, there's a lot of pretty coarse, not language because they're using euphemisms, right? But it's pretty raunchy when you think about it. Sure, you'd burst the tympanum of her ear, man, Mr. Dedalus said through smoke aroma, with an organ like yours. And then later, what's his name? Callie says, not to mention that other membrane,
Mm.
you know,
Right, right.
not the ear, but not the
Yeah.
eardrum, but you know, your organ can burst another membrane. So they have to persuade him to sing. You know, he's like, nah. My dancing days are done, Ben. but then they persuade him, and this almost reminds me of like Billy Shears in the Beatles song With a Little Help from My Friends, right? I have no money, but if you will lend me your attention, I shall endeavor to sing to you of a heart bowed down.
So I love all this stuff, this part of the book, because this is obviously these men, these performers. It's like the preamble to the performance. They'll all be drinking. They're gonna urge Simon to sing. Simon's gonna say no, 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 no. They're gonna say yes, please, you must sing. It's like no, my dancing days are done. All of them. Like it's comic for me, right? That this is what they do, but it's also kind of moving because then you get the depiction of the performance, which we also already looked at, and it's quite moving. So at once, Simon is many things, right? Like his son, he's irresponsible, terrible father, right? He's etc. He's a vain, right? But he's also hilarious. And here, when he sings, he does become this
Devo.
This Devo, like who moves everybody, right, including us.
Yeah. And we know he probably went to the Ormond Hotel for this purpose. Sure, he wants a drink. Sure, he wants a drink, but he wants to sing. Remember, before they get there, he walks into the area, the part of the bar that has the piano, and he can't play really, right? So he's kind of noodling around, vamping. Oh, I was just vamping, man. But he's waiting. Right. He's waiting for someone like Callie, who actually is a good accompanist. He's waiting for someone to come and play so he can sing.
Yeah. It's a great character. It's just an amazing character.
And Bloom says glorious tone he has still. So even, despite all of his, ambivalence towards these characters, he recognizes that he still is a great singer. He says, cork air softer, also their brogue. So here we realize Simon is a Cork man. He comes from down south. Silly man could have made oceans of money, singing wrong words, wore out his wife, now sings. So he's basically saying, Simon Deadless could have turned pro like Molly.
Yeah, but instead he wore out his wife. Dead, right?
Right.
God knows the stress he put her under, and now he sings. Right.
All right, so Linehan and Boylan are kind of a pair. I guess they're friends, although, as we said, Linehan's more of a hanger-on. Boylan
Linehan's a sycophant, right? There's
seems
a clear
like
hierarchy.
He just tolerates him. But this was funny. Linehan, round the sandwich bell, wound his round body round. So here's the first inkling, at least that I can remember, that he's a fatty, And so he's trying to get Mina Kennedy's attention. Peep, who's in the corner? She totally ignores him, right?
That's right.
She's like, she keeps reading, and he's trying to ask her questions. She's like, ask me no questions, and I'll tell you no lies, or something like that.
Yeah, right.
Totally blowing him off, but also being just flirtatious enough to keep him coming back, So he sees Simon, greetings from the famous son of a famous father, and Simon, I guess, pretends not to know what he's talking about. And then I take that as sarcasm when he says, oh, that must have been highly diverting or entertaining or whatever it is he says. Amusing, right? Something like that. So there's the Rose of Castile again. As I said, I think the rose is part of the barmaid's uniform, like, Mrs. DeMassey or whoever runs this place. They're in uniform, so part of it is to wear roses. We talked about Linehan almost begging, no, now, urged Linehan, sonne la cloche, oh, do, there's no one.
No one's going to see.
Yeah, pretty.
Yeah, he's pretty slimy and,
Wait a shake, begged Linehan, drinking quickly. It's like, he's gulping his drink. Wait, hey, Boylan, hey, man. Hey, where are you going, dude? Hey, come back. I got to tell you something. And, while what's her name? Did you notice this? Lydia, right? Bronze Lydia. She's like reaching up to grab a glass or something, and Linehan's like, oh my god, oh, really, in an exaggerated fashion. And did you notice what Boylan said? Why don't you grow? Which I think is, why don't you grow up, right? That's how we Yanks would say it, right? Why don't you grow up? Why don't you
Yeah.
grow?
Yeah. I didn't
So
notice that.
says
Right.
Jingle Jaunty Blazes Boy. So yeah, we got the sky blue clocks, the socks with sky blue clocks
I want
again.
to get some of those. I want to get some socks with sky blue clocks.
And and you got to get some dandy tan shoes too.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so yeah, Jingle Jaunty Jingle. Okay, Ben Dollard, another important character. Remember,
He sings too, right?
he
He's
sings
another
too.
singer.
He's the bass
He's the
barrel
bass.
tone.
Right.
But
Right.
in the beginning, he's coming in with Bob. That's Father Cowley. He says, Alf Bergen will speak to the Longfellow. Remember Long John from Wandering Rocks, the big, what is he, constable, or I don't know if he's the same constable. What's his name was talking to Corny Kelleher, right? But he's a tall guy, seems to moonlight as a bouncer, but he's also a cop, I think. We'll put a barley straw in that Judas Iscariot's what? Ear this time. So he's basically reassuring him, you're not going to be evicted. You won't have to pay your debts,
They're still
basically.
talking about what they were talking about in a previous.
Yeah.
Where was this?
Reuben J. Dodd, his creditor, right?
This was in Wandering Rocks, right, where they're talking about this situation,
exactly.
right? So it's a continuity from that, right?
I remember those tight trousers too, so that refers back to the time. I mean, he and Cowley think, oh, it all worked out, right? But Molly was clowning on him, like when he put on those tight trousers. She said all his belongings were on display, right? Meaning, you could
What
see
it
his
means.
junk.
Yeah, right.
Right. And she said, oh, imagine all the ladies in the first row. But he thought it all worked out. But anyway, he sings the song called The Croppy Boy, which is an Irish folk song, I guess. So everyone gets sentimental. Oh, the Croppy Boy. I guess he dies. I should put that in the playlist, but I don't think I've listened to it. This is hilarious. Ben McCree, said Mr. Deadless, clapping Ben's fat back shoulder blade. Fit as a fiddle, only he has a lot of adipose tissue concealed about his person.
Deadless.
In other words, he's a fat ass. And,
that's right.
And so Ben Dollard growled, fat of death, Simon. I don't know what that means, but they've all got a sense of humor about his weight issues, let's say.
Yeah, Ben Dollard did not say, I feel body shamed. Why would you do that to me?
Exactly.
He doesn't say that. Right? he
No,
knows
he
he's a
growled.
fat fuck.
He growled. And remember, they were giving him shit about his clothes in the previous episode, right? Here he comes, arse and pockets. and he's like, where'd you get that suit? He's
arse and pockets.
He's like, Simon, I've thrown away more suits than you've ever had, or something like that.
Yeah.
So good-natured,
Big
ball
Ben.
busting all around.
Ben Dollard's voice barrel tone. Yeah, big old Ben.
Yeah, Ben. All right, so Cowley is also there. This is hilarious. Bloom says, wonder who's playing. Nice touch. Must be Cowley. Musical. Knows whatever note you play. Bad breath he has, poor chap.
That's right.
So it's like, yeah, he can play piano pretty well, but goddamn, he's got halitosis, man. His breath stinks.
Yeah,
Bob Cowley's outstretched talons grip the black, deep-sounding chords. Another fantastic description. All right, so some of the minor characters, we've got this young brat. So you remember from the overture. So this is in reference to Miss Deuce, who says, "I'll complain to Mrs. DeMassey on you if I hear any more of your impertinent insolence."
That's
And so
right.
the young brat responds, "Impertinent."
Boot snout
Boot
sniffed
Snout sniffed
rudely.
rudely as he
That's right.
retreated, as she threatened as he had come. So apparently, this young guy, he comes in and there's your teas. He just drops them rudely on the bar, right? With his loud boots. So this is some little whippersnapper that I guess he's a delivery boy, right?
Yeah, yeah, he's a
So
delivery boy.
he's kind of contrasted. Well, they say most aggravating that young brat is. If he doesn't conduct himself, I'll wring his what? Ear for him a yard long. So he's kind of contrasted with the blind stripling who is quite a nice young man, right? Miss Du says, "The tuner was in today tuning it for the smoking concert, and I never heard such an exquisite player," meaning
Right.
the blind tuner, while he tunes, is playing, and apparently he's, quite
I
a
believe
good
that at
pianist.
one point, do you remember that Bloom, just one of his thoughts when he thinks about the Bride Stripling, he wonders if his uh, musical abilities were honed by being blind. That
Right.
one
You got to
organ
develop one of
compensates
the
for.
other senses to
Right, right,
compensate for the lack of the one you don't have, right?
right.
The real classical, and blind too, poor fellow. So that's the first clue that we're talking about the guy who, remember, said to Cashel, Boyle, O'Connor, Tisdale, Farrell, or whatever his name is, "God's curse on
That,
bitch's
yeah,
bastard."
that's right.
That's
That's
the
right. They run into each other in Wandering Rocks.
Well, what's his name runs into him. He's just tapping with his cane, and then Cashel, Boyle, O'Connor passes by, and I think his coat or whatever he's dragging
Right.
along swipes his
Doesn't he
walking
also, the
stick.
blind stripling, he runs into the drunken sailor too, right? Or is that
Mm,
not right?
I think
Maybe I'm
I think he
misremembering.
passes him, but I don't think there was a collision necessarily.
Okay.
But anyway, his leitmotif, of course, is the tap, tap, tap,
Hmm.
tap, right? So if the first time you're reading this, it's just like, what's going on here? Is
Hmm.
someone tapping on the table while everyone's singing?
Right.
What's going on? Then you
Right.
realize it's the walking stick of the blind stripling. And this is an interesting conclusion. It says, "An unseeing stripling stood in the door. He saw not bronze, he saw not gold, nor Ben, nor Bob, nor Tom, nor Cy, nor George, nor Tanks, nor Richie, nor Pat. He. He did not see."
What do you make of that? He. It's He, by the
Yeah, he's
way.
laughed. It's laughter, right?
Who is this?
He.
So is
He
this
did not see.
this is the narrator just being, just getting
Being
a kick out of
musical,
his,
right? It's
well,
like,
being musical, but also being, he's like laughing at was not really that funny a joke, right? Unseen,
right,
right? He didn't see, ha 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 ha. He didn't see any of this stuff that we've seen, ha
right.
ha ha ha. Right,
And there's also, I didn't put this in here, but he also stares unseeing at the same poster of the siren smoking,
mm-hmm.
mm,
Yeah.
smoking a
Oh, right, right,
cigarette.
right. Going
Um,
back just briefly to the young brat, I was reminded of the newsboys in Aeolus, right? These very minor little characters, right?
mm.
But here we have a delivery boy here. We've got some newsboys who are kind of flurrying around in the office and out there. I love those little details he adds in.
And what's the point of that? Like, why include the young brat? It's just something that, I mean, it's a total cameo, whoever he
Yeah.
is. He comes in. The whole purpose of his appearance is so that he can say, "Imperfect," it's like, so
Impertinent insolence. Yeah,
is that part of is that the orchestra warming up or whatever? Or it's like,
yeah. Yeah.
la, 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 doing vocal exercises before the main performance?
Right, right, right. Yeah, it's just one of those little details. Like the delivery boy would happen to be there on that day delivering his stuff. So yeah. Joyce creates his little cameo and highlights that that imperfect and part of as part of the overture is one of the notes.
Onomatopoeia.
Yeah, yeah,
But also, it's kind of like he's giving the sirens a taste of their own medicine, right? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
Although he seems kind of interested in them too, but they're like, you're too young. We're not going to test our wiles on you, you little whippersnapper. But anyway,
Oh, whippers.
Pat is another
Bald Pat,
double
the
of
waiter.
the stripling. I pointed this out. The reverse of Pat is Tap, right? So I rightly or wrongly made an association between the blind piano tuner and the deaf Pat, right?
Mm.
Tap, Pat, Pat, Tap.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, why include a deaf character in an episode about music and the ear? Deaf
Good
Beetle, he
question.
is. That's what Bloom
So is
says.
he
He's a
complete? Is he
deaf beetle.
completely deaf or just hard
I
of
think
hearing?
he's hard of hearing, right?
Okay.
But
Okay.
to the point
Because
that,
he's called Bald Pat rather than Deaf Pat, but so
well, he's
he
also
it says
called that.
he
Look at this. Bald Pat at a sign drew nigh. A pen and ink he went. A pad he went. A pad to blot. He heard deaf Pat.
so he
So,
heard right. Okay.
but deaf beetle he is. He's also called, right? To the
So
door
he
of the
doesn't.
dining room came Bald Pat, came Bothered Pat, came Pat, waiter of Ormond. So he's hard of hearing almost to
He's
the
hard of
point
hearing.
of being deaf,
Right.
such a degree that Bloom can say deaf beetle he is, right? I
Yeah.
didn't know
Yeah. Well,
beetles
maybe
were deaf,
he's
but
like Odysseus's men with the wax in their ears,
exactly, yeah, that's what
safe
it
from the
is.
songs of the
Right,
sirens.
right. So he's got to use like hand signals. Of course, it's also noisy because of the singing and the people drinking at the bar, chink chunk with the glasses and everything.
Right.
So he's got to
Right.
like signal to deaf Pat, hard of hearing
Right.
Pat, right? Like
Right. Right.
maybe
Right.
he's like, I need a paper,
Yeah.
pencil, whatever,
Bill, the bill. Right.
and the bill. Well, but first he needs pen and ink and a blotter so he can write
He,
to
Martha.
Martha. Yeah,
That's
right.
right.
All right, so Goulding is there with Bloom. He's got a backache. This is interesting too. Bloom believes his own lies. Does really wonderful liar.
What is that in
So,
reference to?
well, Goulding keeps saying, "I was at Tom Rochford's house or Tom Kernan's house or somebody's house the night Simon Dedalus sang blah blah
Oh,
blah,
okay.
and
Okay.
it was the most beautiful song I ever heard." He's one of
Right.
these
Right.
guys, right? Like everything
Right.
is the most, it's superlatives, always
Right. Right.
superlatives with this guy. Power for Richie. Bloom drinks a cider, which is pretty mild. Power, I don't know if you've had this, I don't know if we had it there. Powers is a very popular Irish whiskey. You heard about this? There's a picture in the slideshow for those watching. You ever seen that bottle?
I haven't seen the bottle, but I figured it was whiskey from when I read this in the context. He was
But
drinking
it
something
looks like a
stronger.
bottle of beer the way
Yeah.
the cap, you just twist off the cap and then you could drink that whole bottle theoretically at one sitting, which I'm
Yeah.
sure they many do. And so this is interesting too. Goulding asks Bloom, answering an ad, keen Richie's eyes asked Bloom, guess what? Bloom lied and said, oh yeah, probably nothing doing. But really, he's Henry Flower writing to Martha, as we said.
Right. He placed an ad
Yeah.
that lured in a bunch of applicants.
And so he's murmuring like, for Goulding's benefit, for Uncle Richie's benefit, right? He murmurs like, dear sirs, blah, blah, but really he's writing to Martha.
Right.
So that's another interesting Joycean misdirection.
Of subterfuge, right? Just like
Yeah.
Odysseus, right?
Yeah. And Joyce himself. Two gentlemen with tankards, they're minor characters. Miss Kennedy served two gentlemen with tankards of cool stout. They're flirting with the barmaids as well. Then there's a George Lidwell. I'm wondering if this is like the gentleman of her acquaintance that she mentioned before. Maybe not. She probably has quite a few gentlemen of her acquaintance, but Miss Deuce engaging, Lydia Deuce bowed to suave solicitor George Lidwell, gentleman entering. So they may or may not have a history. She says, don't make half so free till we are better acquainted. George Lidwell told her really and truly, but she did not believe. Charming, sea-smiling, and unanswering Lydia on Lidwell smiled. So by the end, she's like, okay, I'm gonna give this guy the time of day after all. He is a solicitor after all, right? He's not some fucking Lenahan. So
I'll smack my garter for him, but this guy will
in
be a little more
private,
classy.
yeah.
Right.
All right, Tom Kernan is there. The only thing I can say about him is that he spoke gin hot words. So I can't remember what he was talking about. Doesn't really matter. Now, the whore of the lane. Oh, the whore of the lane. A frowsy whore with black straw sailor hat askew. That detail is so apt, isn't it? Right? Sirens, Ulysses, Odysseus, the sea,
Sailors.
the shell, sailor hat. Of course, that's what she's wearing. Came glazily in the day along the quay towards Mr. Bloom.
And this is Bloom. This is at the end when Bloom sees her after he's walking the streets again.
And he ducks into a store or something, a shop. Look in here, and then he has other thoughts, and he says, "Oh, she's passing now." So then he can go back outside, right? Like he literally ducks into a shop to avoid her. He thinks she recognizes him. Maybe she's that Bridie Kelly. Now, did you find anything about this in the GIF? Old Fogey and Boyd's. Okay.
No, I haven't. I haven't looked.
All right, maybe we can look this up because Lydia says, I asked that old fogey in Boyd's for something for my skin. Remember, they're talking about her sunburn that she got, right? That's another possible meaning of bronze, right? Her skin is bronze after having gone on her seaside holiday.
So it's like a pharmacist or something like that, right?
Yes, but okay. Here's what Miss Kennedy says, oh, don't remind me of him for mercy's sake. Don't let me think of him or I'll expire. The hideous old wretch, that night in the ancient concert rooms. And Lydia says, here he was, cocking her bronze head 3/4, ruffling her nose wings. Hoofa, hoofa. So she's like really clowning on this guy. Will you ever forget his goggle eye? Oh, greasy eyes. Imagine being married to a man like that with his bit of beard, married to a greasy nose. And then immediately after that, do you remember? Grease-a-bloom.
Grease-a-bloom.
What's that?
Oh, right.
What is that?
Well,
why is he associated with this old fogey in Boyd's? It seems to be like a chemist or some guy in a pharmacist. This old fogey. Bloom doesn't have a bit of beard.
No, but I mean, this guy's clearly a kind of probably a creep who leers at them, right? They think he's disgusting, right? And Bloom is multifaceted and has Grease-a-bloom, right? We can maybe consider what he does on the seashore while he's watching Gertie McDowell, right? Men leering at women, men, lusting in grotesque fashion at women and so on. So there's that bit of Bloom. There's that in Bloom too.
Sure, but it's quite the fact that it occurs immediately after that, and he's literally called Grease-a-bloom. It's like, what? And do you remember someone called him like old cod eye or something? And then here they say goggle eye. And then that night in the ancient concert rooms, like, was this at one of Molly's shows or something? What's going on here? He doesn't have a bit of beard, so I think it's a different guy. But the association, it's kind of like the Siopold, right? Like characters are merging and becoming one with each other, which, of course, is more characteristic of Finnegan's Wake, but we seem to be anticipating that. And the first time I read it, it's like, wait a minute, was like Bloom being a lech in Boyd's or something? Like, but why the bit of beard? Did he have a beard at that time? Like, is this a reference to Bloom? That's the question. I don't
No,
think
that's
it
not right.
is. I,
Okay, this is what's in Gifford.
hmm.
Grease of Bloom involves a pun. Quote, when it is remembered that Greece is pronounced Grace in Ireland. Grace of Bloom.
Oh,
Involves a
okay.
pun. I'll read this again. Quote unquote, when it is remembered that Greece is pronounced Grace in Ireland. So Greece would be Grace.
Okay, but what does it say about old fogey in Boyd's?
It doesn't say anything about that.
Ha! The GIF. Okay, another whiff from the GIF. Okay, well, just a few little um, loose ends here. Did you catch the reference to chamber music? Could make a kind of pun on that. Of course, that's Joyce's book of poetry, right? Remember?
Hmm.
And Bloom says, could make a kind of pun on that. It is a kind of music I often thought when she. So just again, we talked about how Wandering Rocks is kind of an extended allusion to Dubliners. Well, he is
What is
cannibalizing another
what is
previous
he
work.
referring to? Could make a kind of pun on that. How's that related to chamber
He
music?
before that is chamber music. It's chamber music. Period. Could make a kind of pun on that.
Oh,
That's Bloom's
okay,
thought,
okay,
right?
okay.
So
Right, right.
it's like, he's while he's listening to the music and thinking about all the different aspects of music, he's the thought chamber music comes to mind. Could make a
Okay,
kind of pun on that, as Joyce did in his book of poetry,
right,
right? So we talked
right.
about the mermaid poster, wise bloom eyed on the door a poster, a swaying mermaid smoking mid nice waves, smoke mermaids, coolest whiff of all. This was the stripling, his encounter with the poster. A stripling blind with a tapping cane came tap, tap, tapping by Daly's window where a mermaid, hair all streaming, but he couldn't see, blew whiffs of a mermaid, blind couldn't, mermaid, coolest whiff of all. And so this is where Bloom bought his stationery, right? He bought the paper on which to write the letter. So that's
Right.
where this poster is. E Dolores, trilling, trilling, E Dolores. Oh, E Dolores, Queen of the Eastern Seas. I guess that's a song, but I've not been
Yeah.
able to find it. So then there's the Elastic Band. As you said, he's playing Cat's Cradle. Bloom unwound slowly the elastic band of his packet. Bloom wound a skein round four fork fingers, stretched it, relaxed, and wound it round his troubled double fourfold in octave, jived them last. Bloom looped, unlooped, noted, disnoted. Bloom unjived his crisscrossed hands, and with slack fingers plucked the slender catgut thong. He drew and plucked. It buzzed, it twanged. So that's a kind of music too. He stretched more, more. Are you not happy in your twang? It snapped. And later he's teasing the curling catgut fine. This reminds me so much of the two stuck flies buzzing in Lestragonians. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a really almost banal image, but it says so much. Before, okay, the stuck flies could be Molly and Bloom, could be old Bloom and young Bloom, probably the former more than the latter, but, both and, not either or. And then here, the snapping of that elastic band occurs when he's listening to the song All Is Lost, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right. I mean, if we put those two scenes in context, right, they acquire that deeper meaning. But with the two trapped flies occurs. Remember, he has a very vivid memory of him and Molly on Hoth, right? Is it Houth or
Ben
Huth?
Hoth, yeah.
On
Ben
Hoth.
Hoth.
And then he regrets that that's past, right? And this is also a moment of, while he's looping and unlooping the thing, he's also thinking about the inevitability of Boylan going. So they're both associated with this loss, right? They're kind of mournful, right? Both moments. And
Before he said me and me now.
yeah, me
Remember?
and me now. Look at me
Yeah.
now, right? So, right,
Where
right.
does he get the rubber band or
I don't
elastic
know.
band? He's got that. it says he has a packet. What is the elastic band of his packet? Is this like the ads he got at the library? Is that what he's got
Maybe.
bound
Yeah, I
with?
guess the packet of things he
I
has.
don't remember that
He
mentioned
pulls this
before.
elastic band out somewhere, and yeah,
Or was there a band around Sweets of Sin that he bought at the book
the
cart?
Wandering Rocks.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I don't know. All right, so I think this is it.
Woo.
Music, music.
Okay.
All right, so we talked just all the different aspects of music. Tenors get women by the score, thinks Bloom. Words and music, music hath charms, Shakespeare said. All that Italian florid music is, numbers it is. You talked about that. He also calls it muse mathematics. Vibrations, chords, those are. This I should have highlighted too. I like this. Cowley, he stunts himself with it. Kind of drunkenness. Better give way only halfway the way of a man with a maid. Instance enthusiast. All ears. Not lose a demi-semi-quaver. Eyes shut. Head nodding in time. Dotty. You daren't budge. Thinking strictly prohibited. Always talking shop. Fiddle-faddle about notes. This is such a great observation to make. Like the musos, people call them. They're so focused and fixated on the technical aspects of scales and notes and modes and chords and so on, that they don't experience the feeling of the music, right? Like what's behind the words and music.
Mm-hmm.
All a kind of attempt to talk. Music is a kind of, or singing is a kind of language, kind of speaking. But despite all his disenchantment with music, he says, "Wish they'd sing more. Keep my mind off what? Well,
What's happening?
what's
Well, we know
happening at
what's
4 o'clock,
right.
Mister Paul DeCock? It's 4 o'clock. Clock clacked. Cara 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 cock." All right, and then of course all the forthing and farting. And finally, the shell. I don't really know what is important about this image, but it is there for a reason. A spiky shell mentioned early on. Look at the lovely shell she brought to the end of the bar. To him she bore lightly the spiked and winding seahorn that he, George Lidwell, solicitor, might hear. So, by the end of this episode, she's bringing him the shell. Oh, listen. So I think they're going to hook up later. Bloom, through the bar door, saw a shell held at their ears. He heard more faintly that they heard, each for herself alone, then each for other, hearing the plash of waves, loudly a silent roar. Her ear, too, is a shell. The peeping lobe there, been to the seaside, lovely seaside girls. Remember them when we were talking about Millie in Mullingar? Hair braided over, shell with seaweed. Why do they hide their ears with seaweed hair? The sea they think they hear, singing or roar. The blood is it, souse in the ear sometimes. Well, it's a sea, Corpuscle Islands. Thought that was
That's
a
good.
great image.
So this is in reference to the shell they're holding
The
up.
shell, right? They think they're hearing the sea. No, you're hearing the blood roaring. That's his interpretation of it. Well, that is a kind of sea, right? The corpuscles are islands. Interesting way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
Blood, remember, was the organ of Wandering Rocks. Or was it Lestrygonians?
It was
Wandering Rocks. Yeah.
Circulation, yeah.
Yeah. What are the wild waves saying?
I mean, I don't think this is.
Lidwell.
I think it's kind of obvious. The shell is just an image associated with the sirens and the sea and that kind of mythic, those mythic undertones and undercurrents and so on.
But it's a Joycean innovation. It's not. I mean, there's nothing in Homer about shells necessarily, right?
No, but seaside girls, sirens, everything we've been talking about. The shell is just one of the symbols.
Nymph,
associated.
mermaid.
Yeah.
I should include the song from Siren called she sells, right? Because it reminds us of that tongue twister. She sells what? Seashells. Where? By the seashore, right?
The tongue twister.
Yeah. So there's
All
something
right.
connected there. All right, so the playlist, if you want to remember what a fugue sounds like, check out Bach's Toccata and Fugue, and a canon. Well, of course, Pachelbel's Canon in D major. Song to the Siren is worth a listen. I put here Both Ends Burning from Siren, but maybe I should change that to Seashells. Or sorry, She Sells. Lydia the Tattooed Lady, Golden Hair. Do you remember this Syd Barrett song? It's
Yeah, I
actually
do.
based on Joyce's Golden Hair, which is in chamber music, I believe. Yeah, Never Enough from the Jenny Lind P.T. Barnum musical. Led Zeppelin's Dancing Days, and Tales of Brave Ulysses by Cream, which mentions Aphrodite, as well as the Sirens. There are probably more I'm forgetting, but anyway, if anyone has other ideas, let us know. Support HJS. Get your copy of Flans Day and Wilds Day coming soon. And subscribe to Mark Will's Substack at markwillwrite, WRITE.substack.com. This is on YouTube as well, at markwillwrite, WRITE. Let's close this out and wrap things up. Oh, we're just over 2 hours.
All right.
I don't know. I guess we did pretty well. I tried to go faster, but it didn't really work out. What can I say? Yeah, so this was Sirens. Any final thoughts on episode 11?
My second full time through, I loved this episode in a way I didn't the first. Not that I didn't enjoy it the first, but you're just struggling to try to figure out what's going on, and having known from the beginning what's happening for the most part, right? I was really able to enjoy the musical elements of the episode, and all of the fantastic themes and everything else. It's a good one. I really like it.
And when you go back and read the overture the second or third or fourth time, it starts to make a lot more sense, right? Like you start to get that handle on it that I've been describing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Deuce's handle on the beer pool.
Yeah. Right. Although not quite as sensual as that description.
It is kind of a little break in the day, right? Men singing and so on. We still have Bloom and all his thoughts and so on. But yeah, you think about all the different characters who appear in their own little mini odysseys, I suppose. Simon has been basically wandering around all day, not working, but going from bar to bar, right? And you can imagine this is the highlight of his day. He gets to be the Devo that he is.
I just don't understand how Bloom can be hungry. He just, I guess the sandwich was, but a light
the sandwich was pretty light.
He had
cheese
a sandwich
with a little bit of wine, and that was it. So,
and the burgundy made him gassy, right? He says must be the burgundy. That's what's making him fourth all over the place.
Fourth, as Virginia Woolf says.
He keeps fourthing. All right, so what's next? Episode 12, that's The Citizen, otherwise known as Cyclops.
Yes, with gigantism as the technique.
Gigantism. Does the Citizen wear an eye patch or not? I've always thought of him as wearing that, but we'll need to. One question to consider is whether there's textual justification for that.
I believe there is because I don't know if I put it in my. I've already done my notes for that.
I think so. Brother John created an AI image of the Citizen with his ferocious dog Gary Owen, and he didn't include an eye patch. So I was wondering. I was thinking, I believe he does have an eye patch, right? Like a Cyclops, he's got one eye.
I think so.
But maybe there's no textual basis for that.
Right. He's one-eyed in other ways,
yeah,
too,
he's
symbolically. So.
Got insight and blindness.
Right.
Paul de Man, not Paul de Cock, would say. See what I did there? All right. Yeah. Oh,
All right.
rocks. All right. So this has been episode 11. Thanks for joining us, all you book burners and Joyceans. And we'll see you next time. Farewell.